All right, y'all. So as we decorate the tree, we're going to talk about how I was able to pay off $41,000 worth of debt and buy 2 properties as part of my 5-year plan. So let's just get straight into it. We're not going to waste any time. The tree is from Target from like 2 years ago. It was on sale for like $60. It came pre-lit. Keeping this forever. All right, so I have my notes here just to make sure that I can read it. All right, so the first thing was I needed to have an honest conversation with myself. This was back maybe about 5-6 years ago, before I started my debt-free journey. Let me get this open first before I start talking. Before I started my debt-free journey, Before I started my debt-free journey, I was living in my sister's attic. I was like not really saving any money. I was traveling the world. I was going to Iceland, Cuba, Thailand, Bali. I was legitimately everywhere. And it was a blessing to be able to do that. But the honest conversation that I had to have with myself was that 5 years ago, I was like a paraprofessional. And I wasn't really making any money. I didn't have my bachelor's degree. I wasn't doing my bachelor's. And I was seriously just like making $34,000 a year. It was almost insane how little bit of money I was making. I quickly realized I could not afford to live on my own. So the first thing I did was have an honest conversation about where I wanted to be. I got out of the mindset of that only the rich are rich and that someone like me from the hood couldn't also be rich. I had to quickly let that mindset go if I thought that I could achieve this. So the honest conversation with myself was basically saying, Selma, right now you're living, if it wasn't for your sister, you would probably be homeless. But not only that, if you keep living this way, you're never going to be where you want to be. I'm a little bougie, y'all. I like the finer things in life. And I wasn't going to get it on a $39,000 salary. I absolutely wasn't going to get it then. So one of the first things I did was, as most people do, you like start searching up random things like debt, getting out of debt. And of course, one of the first things that comes up, if you do not know, is Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey always comes up. And his baby steps are what I started with. And if I can be honest, I think those steps were fine for me. Those steps gave me the blueprint to start somewhere where I actually did have no idea where to start, right? The baby steps were like my ability to just then see how I wanted to go about continuing to pay off my debt. So first thing I did was I realized how much I was bringing in, which was like $39,000. But then I also saw how much debt I had. I calculated my debt, which was basically just my credit cards and my car. From all the traveling I did, I had credit card debt. I didn't care. I had fun on those trips. I would not take that back. And then from there, I kind of just like saw if my budget could fit the debt in, which it couldn't. Y'all know I was hustling, side hustling, Instacart, Uber Eats, Poshmark, Etsy, eBay. I was selling anything that I could sell. I was a couponer at the time, so I would do my sales to my coworkers. They would buy like my household products. All of these things I did just simply to try to make money, because at the end of the day, I wasn't making any. And then not only did I have that honest conversation with myself, I actually had to have those conversations with my friends. Like, I had to tell them, I can't be going out like y'all going out. I can't be out here splurging the way y'all splurge. Like, I'm on a debt-free journey. And I had tried this with people who were my coworkers that I thought were cool. And at one point I had bought us all like this budget book for us to start budgeting. And I quickly realized, when you go on a debt-free journey, when you go on any type of financial journey, sometimes the journey is just for you. Sometimes you don't need to bring anybody else in on your journey. They don't want to be in on your journey. Your journey is for you. Keep that in mind. So don't be mad when your friends don't want to join. Don't be mad feeling some type of way because they don't want to join, right? They don't have to. It's your journey. So Most of those friends didn't join my journey. One friend who I still talk about, who I still chill with, did join the journey. And we've been making those great strides. But telling my friends like, nah, I can't go out when y'all go out. I can't travel the way I used to travel. I was a travel girl. I was a travel coworker. Every time a break came, my friends were like, or my coworker was like, where you going? And I literally had to start saying, I ain't going nowhere, okay? I'm trying to get out of debt, trying to buy a house. I ain't going nowhere. After I really gave everyone the conversation of, don't ask me, I don't have it, I'm creating boundaries, I'm budgeting. From there, it spiraled into creating a 5-year plan. So honestly, as part of my 5-year plan, I wanted to clear all of my debt and I wanted to buy a condo. Those were like my main things. Clear the debt, buy the condo. But first, let me show y'all. Let me show y'all how, like, look at this. I made this in, let me get closer. I made this in 1996. My mom just gave this to me. I made this 1996. I was 6 years old. My mom just gave this to me. She kept everything. I can't wait to do the same thing with my child. I do this every year with my students. It's the cutest thing ever. It's gonna be our star for right now because we don't have a real one. I have to buy one. But that's so old. But anywho, my 5-year plan consisted of truly sitting back, saying I wanted to clear my debt because I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to buy a condo. I knew I could afford it. So I started my debt-free journey in 2019. I was still a paraprofessional, but I was in school finishing my bachelor's degree. I was side hustling like crazy. I was an ABA therapist. That was bringing me in a good amount of money. I did Instacart. I did Uber Eats. Like I said, I did them all. I tried so many different hustles just to make money, and I was making money. You know, on top of my regular little base pay from my main job, I was easily bringing in about like $2,000 to $3,000 extra from side hustling. It was a whole total second job, but at the end of the day, it was worth it simply because it got me to this point now. So I sat down, I did my 5-year plan, and this is something you should do also. And we have ChatGPT now, we have AI now. Let it help you. Write down all the things you want to accomplish within the next 5 years, and really make sure there are things that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years. Tell ChatGPT all the things you want to accomplish and have it put it in an order for you that you can understand. So you can say, hey Chat, in the next 5 years, I want to accomplish all of these things. This is my income, this is my debt, and create a plan for me on how I can go about accomplishing that within the next 5 years. It's gonna spit out something for you, and you can use that as your blueprint to get started. So 5 years, I wanted to be debt free, $41,000 worth of debt, and I wanted to have one property. And I said I wanted that property to be something that was not truly crazy expensive. So I found this condo during the pandemic. It was around like 150, 160, but it was sitting on the market for a really long time. By the time I saw it, it might have been on the market for a year. At that time, nobody was buying anything. Nobody could afford to buy anything besides the rich, right? Nobody could afford to buy anything. So I had cleared off my debt. I had saved about like 20 something thousand dollars. And then I got this in 2021, the end of the year, 2021, November 2021. I closed on this property, and I still had the only debt I had left was my car, which is probably about like maybe $5,000 to $6,000 left. But I got a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, huge space, and my mortgage came out to like $469 a month. But could I have afforded more? Yes, easily. I could have went with something for $200,000, $250,000. I could have went with a 2-bedroom. I could have went with something a little bit bigger. But I knew in my head that I eventually also wanted to be a property owner. I wanted to have an investment property. So, and I still wanted to travel. So I kept this bill really low. This is for New York, for Westchester County, this is like unheard of. So I kept this bill really low. And I spent the rest of the time stacking the rest of the money, saving the rest of the money. So I closed on this property November 2021, and then I closed on my investment property April 2024. 3 years. So it took me 2.5 years to pay off debt. It took me, within that time, the third year, I got my investment property, and then 2 years after that, 2.5, 3 years after that, I closed in on this condo, and then I closed in on my investment property. That was my 5-year plan. Honestly, I didn't think the investment property would happen, but since this was so low, I was able to do it, right? I was able to save that money. So just making sure that the $41,000 worth of debt, I want to let y'all know it took work. It took work. I did not just wake up and decide that I had extra money to pay off. I did not borrow any money from people. I didn't ask anybody for money, right? I bust my ass. I went outside. I did the side hustles. Everybody wants a work from home job. Everybody wants all these things. And baby, sometimes the money is outside. The money is outside. And y'all don't like to go outside, right? I was only able to pay off debt because the money was outside. So if this is you and you're like, damn, I need to clear some debt, find a job that's outside. It doesn't have to be forever. It just has to really get you to the goal. It has to get you to the point where you can clear your debt. It has to get you to the point where, you can use that for what it is and then move on. My biggest lesson was that whatever money I got from side hustling, it went to a separate bank account, and I knew it was to pay off debt. Sometimes what we do is we get the side hustle, we mix it with our regular income, and then we start to need it, right? You start to need the side hustle money. It doesn't come as a necessarily like I'm using it to pay off debt, but you've used the side hustle money to inflate your lifestyle. Make sure you don't do that. If I did that, if I inflated my lifestyle, I wouldn't have paid off the debt. I wouldn't have had the condo. If I decided to give up, I wouldn't have had any of this. I would have still been living in my sister's attic. I would have still been making excuses. And then that's another thing. Stop making excuses. You either show up for yourself, you show up for yourself wholeheartedly, you show up for yourself every single day, even when you don't want to, because at the end of that season of side hustling, you know the outcome is going to be better. The outcome is going to be worth it. For me, the outcome was worth it. I went from making $39,000 and $41,000 worth of debt to this year I closed in about $250,000. I own 2 properties. I've saved over, 5 figures. I have invested over 5 figures. Like, I'm no different from y'all, and I need y'all to know that. Babes, I'm no different. We're the same type of girl. We're absolutely the same type of girl. So don't think you can't do it. You should be like, yo, Selma did it. I know I can do it. And understand that your journey may not be 2.5 years like mine. Your journey may be 6 months. Your journey may be 5 years. Your journey may be 7 years. Whatever it is, you cannot give up. Your girl is winded. Jesus Christ. Let me get to the other side of the tree. Whatever you do, don't give up, babes. Absolutely don't give up. You can't give up. And I'm big right now. You can't give up. You cannot give up. Why? Because if you give up right now on yourself, you're going to keep on giving up on yourself. If you give up right now on yourself, you are going to keep giving up. You are going to make an excuse every time. You are going to tell yourself you can't every single time. And I want to be the first to say, you could do it. You can absolutely do it. It's just about how bad do you want it. So today's question is, how bad do you want to get to the next chapter of your life? And what are you going to do to make sure you get there?